Hi, my name is Kathy Sheffers, and I'm with Goodheart-Willcox Publisher. I'm joined by my colleague, Katrina Pilo. We are so happy to be with the author team of Amy Lee, Margaret Delahanty Kelly, Catherine Lee, and Maggie Bergeron, who just published a brand new resource for first-year experience courses.
Approaching College with Purpose is focused on the importance of students beginning their educational journey with intention, developing good habits, and creating a strong mindset, and acquiring strategies to ensure a successful transition to college.
So in chapter 1 is titled Begin with Purpose, Own Your College Experience. Can you share your thoughts a little bit more on the importance of students being purposeful and really owning their experience?
I would be happy to start with that, and then I'd like to ask each of the team members to say something because we all feel very strongly about that chapter and how we titled it and the resonance and provocative nature of the word own. And part of what we meant there is that can be an unintended and maybe sometimes an unconscious passivity that either instructors or students adopt when they're approaching college. And this idea that I'm going to go through college, I'm going to get through college, I'm going to check the things off that I need to check off, or even as teachers with the best of intentions, or sometimes thinking about the content we have to get students through and the assessments and the courses and this book was really about saying you have an opportunity to make this yours. You have whether you're the teacher, or instructor, or the student, you have an opportunity to think about what value does this have for you? What purpose are you bringing to this, and do you want to get from this? And what are the many moments and choices that you'll be making along the way, and even just in this course, that will help you utilize this in ways that deepen your sense of yourself, your understanding of yourself, and your agency in the world, not only in your college education, but in the world that you are going to create as you continue on.
I agree with everything that Amy said, but I also think there's something about slowing down those first moments. So your first time going to college, your first time in a classroom, your first time interacting with different people, making new friends, finding your way through this experience. I think slowing down those firsts allow you to make choices and be mindful and purposeful and careful about the choices that you're making and the habits you are beginning to develop. I think that's a really important part of this for me.
Yeah, something that I would add as a current student is that something that really resonated with me was the idea of students really, as Amy said, kind of using reflection to get to know who they are and what works for them, and then using that to really craft a unique, intentional approach for them as they enter college and then throughout college. And that's also something that they can really bring into the rest of their lives. And so we really emphasize that in the book through a lot of different forms of reflection that help them to cultivate that understanding of themselves that creates a unique and intentional approach to college.
Yes, I agree with what everyone's saying. Something that Maggie had said, which connected with what I was thinking, is just stopping and breathing, right? I think college is such a intense period of time and change and identity formation. And it also makes us feel really vulnerable because of all the newness of the situations. And so I think having purpose and taking time to reflect on what are you doing, what are your goals, what do you bring, what are your strengths that you have already developed in your time in this world that you're going to now employ and continue to grow and develop in the college space. Like just taking the time to slow down and breathe and then step forward rather than being in that reactive space where it's so laden with fear and boxes that we need to check off.
Staying in chapter 1, there is a section titled College as Transformation, Not Transaction. Can you share your thoughts on this topic?
I'm happy to speak a little bit to this one because, again, I think this is something that really made me reflect on my own experience and approach as a student. And this is something that we talked about a lot as an author team, is the idea that we don't want students to see college as a place that they're going to kind of participate in a trade of just kind of giving their money and time in exchange for just concrete, discrete resources and information, but we really want them to see it as this really large experience where they're going to grow and be exposed to new opportunities and maybe shift their understandings of themselves or of the world. And so we really stressed the idea of students going into college with a lot of open-mindedness and the sense that they probably can't anticipate what they're going to experience there. And so if they can kind of keep in touch with what works for them and what they're enjoying, they can kind of evolve and grow throughout college and maybe come out the other side with new things that they didn't expect.
And there's a lot of research in human development, both in terms of cognitive development and learning, and also intrapersonal self-development and interpersonal, how we live in the world and how we relate to and form relationships with other people. And the age in college, we're at such a peak developmental stage. We are so plastic and flexible and able to take in new information, able to question and able to change and able to pivot and able to critique in a way that really is unusual to that time of our lives. And so I think there's something really important about calling attention to that and naming that as a transformative occasion. I also really believe that those of us who dedicate our careers, as the faculty who are on this call have, to the first year is because we know that that is a transformative time, for better or for worse. And if we don't name it, claim it, design it, and approach it with intention and purpose, as we have called the book, we're really squandering, I think, a lot of the potential that is there for ourselves and for our students. And I think a lot of us also struggle to articulate in the institutions and to our colleagues who teach other classes how important that first year is. And why it's important, and it's important beyond what's happening intellectually or academically. And so I think the book is really trying to take what we know about that time in our people's lives and that time in college year, no matter how old you are when you start college, that is a pivotal year. And we're trying to really make that a visible and valuable opportunity and occasion.
I think there's something about students being able to name that they have some control in this situation. So as a transaction, it's like there's a price tag and an amount of time and some work to get done. But if they can start thinking about it as transformational for themselves, it's the starting of the idea that they can collaborate with their education to make change in their lives, or to figure out new things, or to follow what they're interested in, or to think about what kind of impact they might want to have in their community or in their world.
As I think about, because every time you write something, you produce about 100 times the amount that you actually end up using. And part of when you're culling and honing and focusing is you're thinking about, if I only have this limited space, what is most important for me to put forward for people? And I think we have chosen things like your mindset, writing, written communication, spoken communication, and collaboration and cooperation, and engaging diversity. We have chosen things that are transformative and that need transformative approaches in our world globally today. So I think that's another reason why that word, I think transactions are important, and we don't mean to minimize the importance of transactions. You are coming to college to get things, and those are important things, but you are also coming to college to be changed and to become an agent of change. And the book wants to recognize both of those, or all of those.
So this concludes our conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, and I want to thank our authors again for their time today. If you have any additional questions or would like a sample of Approaching College with Purpose textbook and student journal, please contact your GW educational consultant. Thank you again.